Sometimes the open road promises freedom, but it can also lead us into moments we never see coming. This is a story about solitude, instinct, and the kind of encounter that lingers long after the journey ends. It starts on a quiet night, driving through endless stretches of wilderness under a sky heavy with stars. What seemed like an ordinary stop at a remote gas station turned into something far more unsettling, chilling reminder that even in the vast emptiness, you're not always alone. This was last year during a solo road trip I was taking from Wisconsin to Montana. Most of the roads out there are barren, just endless forests, open fields, and small mountains as you head further west. The only signs of life were in the cities at the start and end of my journey. Because of how I'd scheduled everything, I decided to drive through the night instead of breaking it into 2 days and spending extra money on a hotel. It wasn't going to be easy, but I thought it would be worth it. I started the drive at 7 p.m., double-checking that I had everything packed in my car. My snacks were ready, my playlist queued up, and I felt prepared for the long haul ahead. The first hour took me through the city and some small towns, but after that, it was just me and the open road. Barely any cars passed by, and the only places to stop were gas stations every 15 miles or so. By the second hour, I'd only used about a third of my gas tank, but knowing the stations would get fewer and farther between, I figured I'd top off before heading into the more remote areas. 20 minutes later, I finally found only a tiny station with 4 pumps and no convenience store open. I pulled in and parked next to a pump, got out, and started filling up. The gas came out painfully slow, almost like the pump was half empty. After leaning against my car for what felt like forever, another vehicle approached. It was strange, they were going way under the speed limit, maybe 20 or 30 miles per hour, and passed the station entirely before slowing down and backing up. That alone made my skin crawl. Backing up on a dark road in the middle of nowhere felt reckless, if not suspicious. They parked right behind me. I assumed they'd missed the entrance and needed gas badly. As I heard them get out, I stayed focused on my own pump. But when I didn't hear them doing anything, no pumping, no movement, I glanced over. The man stood near his car, wearing a gray flannel and black jeans. He was tall, and his eyes locked onto mine immediately. I gave an awkward smile and turned away, trying to shake off the unease creeping over me. After a few seconds, I finally heard him grab the pump and start fueling his car. Relief washed over me. I must have been overthinking things. A minute later, I decided I couldn't wait any longer and finished up, locking my gas cap before getting back into my car. As I drove off, I caught one last glimpse of him in my rearview mirror. His heavy-lidded eyes stared straight at me, like he was memorizing my face. Fast forward 3 hours, and the rain had started. It was now past midnight, and the steady patter against my windshield made the drive even more exhausting. Despite energy drinks and snacks, fatigue was setting in. By 1 a.m., I needed a break and my gas tank was running low again. Finally, I spotted another gas station. It looked just as run down as the last one, completely empty except for the dim lights illuminating the pumps. I filled up my tank and parked near the building. Checking the weather app, I realized I was smack in the middle of nowhere. No nearby towns, no cell service, just me and the rain. Deciding a quick nap might help, I reclined my seat and closed my eyes, planning to rest for 30 minutes. I woke up to the sound of rain still pounding against the roof. My alarm hadn't gone off yet, it had only been 25 minutes. Something felt off. Sitting up, I looked out the windshield. At first, everything seemed quiet. Then I noticed a car parked at one of the pumps. Squinting, I realized it was the same one from earlier. My stomach dropped. Where was the driver? Not in his car, not outside. It was as if he'd vanished into thin air. Panic set in. There was literally nowhere else for him to go at this desolate station. Whatever was happening, I didn't want to stick around to find out. I turned the key in the ignition and shifted into reverse, but as I glanced in my rearview mirror, my blood ran cold. He wasn't behind my car. He was in it. His piercing eyes met mine through the darkness. Without thinking, I kicked open my door and bolted out, heart racing. The car continued rolling backward in neutral as I sprinted toward the woods. From the tree line, I watched in disbelief as my car eventually stopped, and then, moments later, the stranger climbed into the driver's seat and drove off, leaving me stranded in the pouring rain. Stunned, I stood there, soaked and shaking, until reality hit me. My phone was still on the dashboard. But then I noticed something odd. His car was still there. Approaching cautiously, I found the doors unlocked, keys in the ignition, and groceries scattered in the back seat. And then, lying on the floorboard of the passenger seat, was a phone. It was locked, but I managed to call 911 using the emergency feature. Only later did I realize the truth. This car wasn't his either. It belonged to someone else he'd already victimized. When investigators pieced it together, they believed he hadn't planned to let me leave the station alive. Likely, he intended to reveal himself once we were back on the road, but for what purpose, I'll never know. He was never found, neither was my car. You're stranded in the middle of nowhere. Reality has a way of sharpening its edges. That night left me with more questions than answers about who he was, what he wanted, and how close I'd come to something truly unimaginable. My car was gone, my sense of security shaken, but somehow I walked away unharmed. Still, there are nights when the sound of rain or the sight of an empty road brings it all back. Some stories don't end neatly, they just stay with you, whispering warnings from the shadows.